Welcome to the Six Figure Personal Stylist Podcast, the ultimate no BS business podcast for ambitious personal stylists ready to build a six-figure and beyond personal styling business. You won't hear the typical snooze fest business advice that most personal stylists get told all of the time. Nope, instead, I'll be sharing business building strategies that will help you create a killer personal brand, a cult following of loyal personal styling clients, and make a ton of cash while creating lasting style transformations for your clients. I'm Nicole Achi, your host and a former personal stylist of 14 years who built a lucrative styling business in 3 major cities, but only after spending years trying to crack the six-figure styling business code without burning out. And now I'm here to tell you how to do exactly the same. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Six Figure Personal Stylist Podcast. Today, I'm joined by my client, Brianna Lamberson, a talented stylist with a very unique journey. Bri's path to styling began with her love for art and beauty, leading her through art school and various creative pursuits before her styling career kicked off officially. She came to styling through working at an upscale consignment shop and has evolved her passion for styling into a full-time business. In this conversation, we're going to dive into Bri's experiences, including the pivotal moment when she realized styling could be her actual career, her successful use of YouTube as a marketing tool in her business, the process, and it was a process, of discovering her niche, and how she is working to overcome her perfectionism and learning to embrace authenticity in her business. Join us as Bri shares some valuable insights into finding your voice as a personal stylist, connecting with ideal clients, and navigating the challenges of building a thriving styling business. Enjoy. I am here today with my client, Brianna Lamberson. Bri, thank you for being with me.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here. It's great to see you again.
Why don't we dive in and you share a little bit about your journey to becoming a stylist and just sort of your road to this point?
Okay, great question. I have always been obsessed with art and beauty, and my mom always let me get dressed however I wanted to when I was as little as you can remember. And long story short, I got into art school in Chicago. It was like a major culture shock. And I just noticed that everybody was dressing so well and so interesting. And that really appealed to me because I was always kind of on the fringe and fascinated with style and fashion. Got several jobs in boutiques, just really pursued my degree in art and photography. And when I got married and moved to Knoxville, Tennessee, I had no idea what I was going to do with my art degree. So I just got a job working at a consignment shop. It happened to be sort of like a mid-upscale consignment shop in Knoxville. And I loved it. I fell in love with it. I started working with lots of clients. We didn't call them clients, but they were essentially styling clients. And people started coming in just to see me. And then one day a client came in and she was like, "Hey, can you come to my house and do this? And I'll pay you." And I was like, "Great." So my boss was very nurturing also. And she said, "This is a job, right? This is a real job." So from there, I just kind of slowly started pursuing it. I didn't really believe in myself, but I've been doing it since, I guess you could say, like 2012. But it's not been full-fledged until, I would say, the last 2 years.
Got it. Okay, so many things are running through my mind right now. What did you major in an art school? Like, what was your focus?
So I went to the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, and they don't require you to have a declared major. It's interdisciplinary, and they don't even have grades. It's just pass-fail, which is a little bit more severe. I guess you can just drop off and fail pretty quickly. But my main focus was photography, but I also did fiber and material studies, performance art, shoemaking, and art history. So it was pretty diverse, but the main thing I focused on was photography.
What a cool program. I'm aware of that program. I know it's really good, but I know it's excellent, but I didn't know that they were that out of the box in their education style. I love that. I bet so many stylists listening are like, what? That is incredible. Where was that school when I applied?
Yeah, it's a portfolio school so that you get judged based upon the work that you produce. And that's high pressure. So I remember at my senior thesis show, you have to like fully show as if you were showing in a gallery. and you're judged, you're critiqued on that work. So it is really intense. It thickens your skin.
I was going to say, it seems actually like it would be a really good training for being a stylist, including the fact that you now know how to make shoes and know about like textiles. That's awesome. So you like almost every single stylist I talk to, and you think some of it is that it will be interesting to see as I start to interview stylists who are like in their early 20s, if like they knew that this was a job, like right out, versus like us, who somebody told, every single stylist I've talked to on this podcast, somebody said to them, this is a job. And so there is nothing more uniting to me having a conversation over and over with you guys where we all have the same experience, because it can make you a little bonkers to not know if the job you're about to launch a business for is like a thing. Like that in and of itself has like a weird psychological space. So I love that we're keeping the theme.
I never even knew there was a difference between personal stylists, fashion stylists. Right. I had no idea. Yeah. Honestly.
Nor does the rest of the world at all. Like this is our world, so we know it now, but that's crazy. So when we started working together, you had all this background, all this history. And what was so fascinating in our work together was to see it come together in your niche. And I think sometimes we don't start with ourselves. Like we start with what we think the market wants. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about, as we work together, like what the process was for you to discover, like, wait, the people I really want to work with, I already have that inside me. I just haven't tapped into it.
It was really magical. I'll just say first off, I've never worked with a coach like you before, where the subtlety of what you do is so powerful. Like I've never had a coach just kind of come in and go, hey, like within just a matter of a few minutes, we're going to completely unlock this part of your brain. So I was pursuing styling just sort of with a broad general sense of what my target market was. And keep in mind, I've done like DCA, Digital Course Academy. I did B-School. I've done other programs. And they all talk about identifying your ideal client, but it never really occurred to me to look, like you said, to my own background. So my niche was sort of like this general women in their late 20s to mid 50s or 50, and they're professional, maybe a mom struggling with putting together outfits. And that was kind of working for me. And I was kind of attracting clients, but I was not really clear on who my ideal client was. And then even when I went back through my roster and started thinking about, well, who do I really work best with? I thought it was women who are more executives, more CEO types, leader types. And so I thought for a moment that might be who I was working with. But then I really, with you, got even more analytical. Well, who is it that I really connect with? And it turned out it wasn't just women in leadership. It was writers, authors, public speakers, actors, architects, interior designers, graphic designers, photographers. And I realized, oh, wait, okay, that's me. That's my background. So very diverse, very eclectic, and very geared towards the creative, towards the artistic.
Which makes a lot of sense since that's your world. And I think we often, I know I did this for years, like it's probably one of the reasons it took me so long to get with the program, is like we think that kind of like how our clients underestimate the things they like as a sign of their style. It's like, oh, well, I just like it, right? Yeah. I think we do that in our business.
That's a great point. Yeah, I never thought about that, but totally.
And the good news is the market's so big now of awareness, like the possible groups of people that could hire a stylist because they're aware that stylists exist is so big that you can say, I want to work with creative professionals. I mean, to be clear, I wouldn't have been like, Bree should work with people that are like right out of art school and have no job. Like there is strategy, but the world is so big that like you can go into it looking at yourself and then make sure that it like maps onto the market. And I think it really helps with our messaging when we can relate to the other.
For sure. I think something that you helped me with early on is the first call where we did the niche work. I was like, great, I feel this is amazing. And then like the next day I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? There's like a little bit of a pit, and you, I think, messaged me and you're like, this is totally normal.
Everything's going according to plan when you want to throw up after you make a decision. Yeah.
You're like, this is normal. What I want you to do is research who your niche is hiring. And all I did, I can't believe that it's this simple, but all I did was Google business coaches for interior designers. And I found the first person that popped up was a woman selling a group program for $3,000. And I was like, okay, I'm fine. Things are going to be fine.
Right.
There is a pretty big market out there. It's just really about who you can connect with.
Right. And so that's why I always tell stylists, like, you have everything, established stylists. If you're brand new, you might need to get some stuff under your belt, but you have what you need. Someone just needs to dig it out of you and put the pieces together in a way that is sustainable and profitable. And you definitely have all that. So we made some changes. What for you in terms of marketing, and you also had a really big YouTube channel, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what led you to that platform. What did you enjoy about it?
That's really good. So I passively was using YouTube. Long story short, my backstory, but in my pursuit of becoming a stylist, because I didn't think fashion was a real career, I got into health coaching. And so I was using YouTube to communicate with clients and make little videos about health and wellness. I never, ever, ever thought that it would lead me to what I'm doing now. But I just always had a burning desire to be on YouTube. I don't know why, but if you have that same gut feeling, or to start a podcast or to start a blog or write a book, I think that's something you should definitely listen to, because I sat on that feeling for about a year. Started the channel in earnest in January of 2018, more so pursuing my career as a health coach. But there was always this component of fashion in there. So I would talk about sustainable fashion and sustainable style. And then when I started really feeling this call to move more and more towards style, I just completely swapped what I was talking about and on a dime. Made all my health and wellness videos private and just started pursuing talking about fashion and style. And it's been hard. I'm not going to lie. It's been a big challenge. It's been a big time commitment. And I've had lots of self-doubt, but it's one of those things that I'm never really going to give up, I don't think. And it might evolve what I do and how I do it. But I've loved the community I've built. I've gotten clients from YouTube almost right out of the gate from starting, even though my styling business wasn't just, wholesome or secure, fully fleshed out as it is now. There were people always interested in what I had to offer. So from YouTube, it's a great marketing tool. It's amazing. Yeah.
Tool. And I think a lot of stylists don't use it because it's so, myself included, there's just a lot of technical understanding. It's just harder. And I think the stakes are, it lives there for a long, the reason why it's effective is because it lives there for a long time and it's a search engine. And if you can figure out that part of the game, then you can do really, really well. Yeah. And just goes one video a week, and it can keep, and you can even make money from it. You can even make continued money just from the videos being up for the audience that doesn't know.
Yeah.
And, people are savvy. The quality has to be good, and your quality is excellent. You clearly have that technical skill, which is amazing. And I think a lot of us just don't think to use it, but it is an incredible, incredible tool.
I think now, especially with the introduction of shorts, I think more stylists can break into the platform, because if you're already familiar with what's going on TikTok, or you use TikTok, or you use Instagram, just move over to YouTube, because it's going to live there. And I've seen people who get on YouTube just doing shorts initially, and they completely blow up.
Really?
Yeah. It's still search engine driven. You still have to log into the back end and input your keywords and your title and description. So it's still very, very useful for that. If you don't want to make long form content, just make shorts and get started,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not even start that. Also, I'm thinking ChatGPT might be a real good help in getting those keywords right.
Oh my gosh. ChatGPT is a gold mine. Just, side note for those who are really genuinely interested, I highly recommend vidIQ, vidIQ. And then there's another one. If you just Google keyword search tools for YouTube, there's one that's free vidIQ is not free, but it's so helpful. And even if you just go into YouTube and you start typing in like, I don't know, like a keyword or key phrase that your niche audience might be searching, Google will auto-populate it.
Yeah.
And you'll be like,
that way.
Yeah. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. I will make a video on how to style a belt or something,
Yeah, totally.
I've noticed a huge trend on YouTube, just final note on that. I don't want to get hung up on it, but about 6 months ago, I would say there was a massive wave of YouTubers that were quitting, so-called quitting, or taking a step back because the way in which we've been creating content for the last 10 years, I would say, is just not working anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's good news because we can just be a little bit more relaxed and real. And I think that performs way better than like a highly produced piece of content.
Since we've kind of figured out your audience and kind of made these changes, what do you think the biggest ahas have been in terms of your business and like what the future holds?
Wow. Well, I think walking away with the knowledge of how to speak to my client, my ideal client, not that I'm doing that perfectly. I still have a lot of work to do. I've been paying attention to your stories lately. What are they struggling with in the moment? That's really key for me. But I think the biggest aha was just realizing I know this woman. Like, if I just take the time to sit down and think about the struggles that I have, the struggles that some of my past clients have had, I really can speak to this woman so powerfully. And I actually don't have to hold back what lights me up inside. I think like after one of our niche calls in the program, I got on stories and just started like posting like gangbusters, just like this series of slides about being a creative entrepreneur. And it was the most response I've ever gotten in DMs from people were literally messaging me saying, wow, your content's amazing right now. Yeah. And I think I've never had that kind of experience working with a coach before, except for when I was in a mastermind for 4 years with Jeff Goins. So that was a unique experience for me to work with you and to get that like, wow, this really does work. I think just not disconnecting yourself from who you are. Oh, yeah. And then just, there was one, I guess like the framework, that was a huge aha for me. I think that was like a huge draw for me in wanting to work with you initially too, was, okay, what is this behind the scenes framework she keeps talking about? Like when you talk to me about the life cycle of a client, the service menu that you can offer them behind the scenes, that was something that I really needed. And just how to open and close the container.
That's a big one. I want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think one of the things that so many of us struggle with is the opening of the experience for the client and the closing of the experience. And I think that it comes from the best possible place, which is our own anxiety. Like, are we going to do it right? Are they happy? Was this good enough? Did I leave anything out if you're neurodivergent like me and you forget things? Like,
oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I know the reason why I have so many of the things I teach you guys is because I struggle with these things too. And I get it. And I'm still not perfect. I'm sure I left like 9 things out of Bree's, after conversation, I'd be like, I'll get this to you. I mean it. Like, I have a million Post-it notes too. I get it. I think when you say that, it's so relatable, I'm sure, to people listening, because we want to create this great experience, but sometimes because we want it so bad, we get in our own way and we just like shut down or we don't follow up because we're so afraid of the judgment. So share a little bit about what your realizations have been, because I know that so many people can relate.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, the thing that I really loved about you, and I think you've even mentioned this in some of your content, is that, okay, she's running this mega successful business that she's built in like 15 months and she's still human.
Yeah. Oh my
gosh. But the thing that I think what's so valuable that you model, that's maybe unintentional, is that you can't be perfect in anything that you do as a business owner. And I've always associated success with perfection. like I have to fit myself into this perfect behavioral box and then I'll be successful. I can't forget emails. I can't forget birthdays. I have to, completely, not that you want to slack, right?
No.
But taking the pressure off of saying like, okay, you will drop the ball, that you're human, but it's not about you dropping the ball. It's about you just responding back to that person and saying, hey, sorry about that. I'm here again. Like, let's reconnect. Let's move forward. Sometimes clients will respond and sometimes they won't. And I've had to learn that that's just part of business. And there's always going to be more clients that come into your world. And it's an opportunity to learn from my past mistakes because I have made them. But the opening and closing of the container, that's really important because I always felt like I was leaving, in music when you have like that resonance at the end of a song.
Yes.
I always felt with a client like, okay, is this over? Like, are we done?
Yeah, exactly. I have so many stylists I talk to that are just like mind blown by the concept of onboarding and offboarding as a way of giving everybody a sense of boundaries and completeness and excitement when they're onboarding and just sort of like managing it both because it's a system that you don't have to rethink every time.
Yeah.
And that means that one thing is left off. Like it's one less thing for you to have to feel like you're responding to, which means like, sure, you could forget to send the email, but if it's automated in some way, you won't. Like there's all these different things. And then that gives you more space to try to remember the other things you mentioned. But I want to go back to something. There's kind of like these two things you said that are connected that are really interesting is like you showed up on social media and you were like yourself and you got the most reaction. And then you said again, like, oh, like I felt like I had to be perfect all the time and I fit myself into this box, right? With respect to like, how you dealt with clients. And I think that I want to share that my modeling of that comes from years of doing the same thing. Almost every stylist I work with is a perfectionist. I am a perfectionist in recovery. And it comes from self-acceptance. My ability to do that publicly, my ability to be honest about those things comes from years of trying to be okay with myself by myself, which meant that I had to take a step back sometimes or I didn't market as much. And well, I will tell you all day long how important marketing is. Sometimes you have to do that inner work before you get there. And so what you're saying is things like everybody experiences. And I'm sharing that for the group because Brie and I already had this conversation, but I think that it's easy to think that like somebody gets to this point where I am through like making all of the right decisions. But what I have found that it is the wrong decisions and like accepting them and coming to terms with them and accepting that other people are going to judge me no matter what I do, whether I send the PDF late or not, they're going to like me or they're not, has been probably the thing that made me the most money, oddly.
Yeah, that's so true. And it is hard because as a consumer of courses and programs and coaching, I'm thankful that I learned this early on that it's really, really, really easy to blame the thing that you bought for your lack of success. Mm-hmm. And I think that's maybe where if you haven't worked that out in yourself, then you're fearful that your clients are going to do the same thing with you.
Oh, that's
like, oh my gosh, like, is she sitting here wondering where the hell her lookbook is? Or, okay, we bought those pants and they ended up not working even though she's washed them and took the tags off. Is she blaming me for that?
Yes.
So it is kind of scary, but to let go of that responsibility, of holding that responsibility for my clients, because I still want to make them happy, but I think that onboarding process that I'm still working on refining and will continue to refine, at least I have version 1 down, right?
Right.
But like, I think what I really want to start focusing on is just saying from the get-go, like, this is your personal style.
Like, your experience. And
this is your experience.
You're hiring me to be your guide, but you still are responsible on the journey there. And I'm glad you're bringing this up because this is probably a conversation I should be having more of. It never even occurred to me. So thank you. But it's like, it's so easy to sit and be afraid. No, listen, I have great boundaries. I have great boundaries in my business as a stylist. And I still be like, okay, nothing's working. Like, you still can have that like, but I'll say that one of the best ways I've learned to deal with it for people listening is to literally say to the client, hey, I'm getting the sense maybe I'm wrong, that maybe this is not going the way you hoped. Can we have a conversation about it? Like, just saying the elephant in the room thing tends to get them to feel safe, because ultimately everything Bree's talking about is about the client feeling safe. If someone feels safe in the interaction and in the container, they can express whatever needs to be expressed to get over whatever the issue is.
Yeah, for sure. Like, there has to be a room to express that. Otherwise, they're going to ghost you, or they might make a passive aggressive comment, which could rub you the wrong way or deflate you or something, which I've experienced all of those things.
Same. And like, yet you could still be successful, right?
Yes.
I was thinking the other day about how I had a client, what I would consider to be my worst client experience ever in 14 years. And I realized the other day that like, I finally don't have a sting to it. And that was only in the last like year. And I haven't been a stylist for a while. Like, this stuff can sit with you, right? And it's funny how we notice like the people that weren't happy, but we don't remember all the people that were.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And I try to remind myself of that. And thankfully, like, I think I've attracted a lot of clients that are so sensitive and sweet and just tenderhearted. And they're so patient and just so understanding and forgiving. Not that I want to not deliver a good service for them, but I think I try to work with people that are similar to me in the sense, like, if I'm going to mess up, they're going to be like understanding, but still maybe bring it up,
100%.
But not putting all the responsibility on me to make, this completely new woman.
Well, I also think your marketing has never been anything around the fact of like, I'm going to like save you. It's always been very much like had the tone of partnership. And I think how we market is how, I mean, even unconsciously, even to these things that you don't necessarily speak out loud, people get a sense of like the accountability that will be expected based on how you market. And I think that's really important, is like you can train people to be your client by how you market. And I think people can sense with you that you are sensitive, you are soft-spoken, you are patient, you are gentle. And so it attracts that person, even if you're not intentionally doing that. That is how energy works. And that's
totally. That's why I think that even if you have a similar niche, it's completely non-competitive, because I have a lot of friends who are also stylists and we have similar niches, but I never ever worry about them taking business from me or me taking business from them, because they have a whole different thing going on. Yeah. And it's who they are as a person, or maybe it's just like one unique random thing about them that a client will look at and be like, I want to work with her versus Bree. And that's fine. Like, I would so much rather there be more stylists, more opportunity for more people to work with and get help with, because there's a huge demand, I think, for it.
What are you most excited about in this new chapter of your business as you start to refine it even more?
Oh my gosh. I finally feel like I have all the pieces kind of coming into place. Mm-hmm. And you said to me, a couple times during our work together, like, you need to sit with this plan for about a year, like these methods, these tactics. But I feel like I have things written down. You were so like generous with your notes and like creating a plan that I know it's there. I know I'm going to refer back to it. I know I have something to fall back on. And that is what is most exciting to me, that I know I'm not going to get lost again. I know I'm not going to just start like peering out into the void of internet marketers again and being like, where do I go? What do I do?
Because maybe that's a coping mechanism many of us have. Then how to get yourself back on track.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think like there's always room to learn and grow and continue to invest in education. But like, at least for the time being, I feel like I'm so excited that I have this system, this plan in place that I know I can go back to. And I'm really excited about the opportunity to keep showing up differently. It's something I'm still trying to push myself to do. Like, it's hard having not allowed myself to show up, very powerfully in the past. It's hard for me to like switch gears, but I'm just saying, okay, if I can't post every day on Instagram, I'm going to try to show up in stories. And even if my stories aren't always geared towards my business or my niche, I'm still going to show up and just keep pushing forward. And I'm just really thrilled to connect with the women that I have connected with in the last 3 months who I never even knew existed, but they live in my own town and they're like excited to work with me.
From your content.
Yeah. And I'm just like, how did this happen? This is so exciting.
Not even showing up perfectly to the proof, because that's not a thing. But just for the record, since I know you're thinking it in the back of your head, you created that with what you consider to be less than perfect marketing. I think it's fantastic, but you consider it that way, and you're creating opportunity. So build the muscle more, because it's just a muscle. That's all that it is.
It is. It's a skill that can be learned, and that's what I teach. I mean, we say that to our styling clients, right? Like, style is a skill that can be learned. You just have to immerse yourself in it. You just have to practice it. And it's the same with marketing and using your voice. I do want to share, like, okay, in my world, I'm a Christian, so we say these silly things. Praise report. I have a praise report. You helped me work on a pitch for a local architect, a female architect. And she wanted to do a photo shoot rebrand for her company of 6 women. And you helped me on a pitch, and I sent it to her, and she replied, "This is exactly what I was looking for. You answered all of my questions. I can't wait to do this." So I'm pretty sure we're going to end up closing that deal, but it was just thrilling to hear the words, "This is exactly what I'm looking for."
I'm so excited for you. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
You had the words, you had the vision. I just helped to put it together. So I'm so proud of you. That's amazing. Congrats.
Yeah, I needed the training wheels though. Like, I needed the wax on, wax off stuff that you provide.
We all do. You don't get to your next level without them. So awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that awesome win. Thank you for being with me today, my dear. It was such a great conversation.
Likewise. Yeah, working with you is like, it was really scary to make that big investment, because I have to say it was one of the bigger investments I've ever made. But I really, really genuinely don't regret it. And I wish I had millions more dollars, or, a lot more money to keep working with you, because you're just that good. And honestly, someone said to me, like, it doesn't matter how you come about that money. Like, if you get a loan, or not that I'm encouraging people to take out money they don't have, but the person's point was they worked with you too. And they said, just however you can do it, because she's worth every penny and more. And I was like, I know, it's so true, because your content and your marketing is so powerful that even if I'm not like an active client of yours, listening to your podcast, I never miss a podcast. I never miss a post on Instagram. And I'm always like, that was valuable. Such a kick in the butt. Just what I needed to hear. It's always so motivating. So I think, just thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for how serious you are about marketing, because it helps people. And it's a good lesson for me to learn that it can be very, very, very helpful for people to be marketed to in the right way.
Thank you for that. I received that. Thank you very much. It means a lot. And I know all these things because I struggled with all of them. So I feel like I come by it honestly, which is the biggest thing, is being in integrity.
Yeah.
Which I know is important to you too. So thank you so much for everything. I'm so excited for the future for you. And a reminder to you and everyone listening that you do not get to your next level being perfect. You get there by taking one step at a time, imperfectly. So thank you, Bri, for everything today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me. It turns out that social proof is actually pretty important. So if you could help me out, I'd so appreciate it. If you just had a quick free moment and could leave me a rating or review on the podcast app, that would be killer. And even better, if you wanted to share this episode on Instagram and tag me, that would totally make my day. And it would bring so much more awareness to the podcast and would help other stylists just like you who are looking to build lucrative styling business, because the better each of us does, the better all of us do. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll chat with you next time.